Imagine you've just arrived at a celebration. And, we are not talking about like a quick 4-hour evening affair in a rented hall.
Definitely not.
Right. We are talking about an event that literally stretches across multiple days.
Yeah, a massive undertaking.
Exactly. You are surrounded by this incredibly lively music. The laughter is just echoing off the wooden walls.
Mm-hmm.
And the food being passed around the tables, well, it isn't your standard, forgettable event catering.
Not at all.
It's a literal taste of history. So welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we are immersing ourselves in the world of traditional French-Canadian wedding foods.
Specifically looking at Quebec, right?
Yes, specifically Quebec. And we're exploring how a centuries-old savory meat pie completely flips our modern script on wedding elegance.
It really does. The contrast between, what we expect at a modern wedding and what these traditional Quebec celebrations offer is just incredibly stark.
It's like night and day.
Exactly. So our sources today provide a really comprehensive look at the iconic French-Canadian Tourtière alongside this deeply rustic, historically grounded menu.
Right.
And our goal here, the mission of this deep dive, is to really understand the mechanics of this tradition. We're looking at how these specific, heavy comfort foods are utilized, and not just as fuel, but as like a deliberate sociological tool.
A tool to preserve cultural heritage, right?
Yes, to preserve that heritage, forge a communal bond, and ultimately offer a truly brilliant blueprint for modern celebrations across the globe.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because right out of the gate, the centerpiece of this entire event challenges basically everything the modern wedding industry tells us to expect.
Oh, completely.
I mean, when you picture a typical wedding, the culinary focal point is almost always like a delicate, towering, multi-tiered cake.
Right. Covered in pristine white fondant.
Exactly. But here, the true star of these highly romantic events isn't a cake at all.
No, it's not.
It's a meat pie.
A very specific meat pie.
Yeah, deeply savory, heavily spiced meat pie. It just completely redefines what a celebratory centerpiece can even be.
It does. And to understand why a meat pie takes center stage over something delicate and sugary, well, we really have to look at the brutal historical and environmental foundation of rural Quebec.
Because it wasn't an easy place to live.
Not at all. We're talking about communities established in deep forests and, truly unforgiving winter climates.
Right.
Historically, French-Canadian wedding celebrations were not just a convenient night out. They were these massive logistical undertakings.
I can only imagine.
You had families preparing enormous homemade feasts to welcome guests who were traveling from neighboring villages, and they were traveling through thick snow and freezing temperatures.
Which is wild to think about today.
Right. Travel was dangerous. It was exhausting.
So, I guess a couple of bacon-wrapped scallops on a tiny napkin just isn't going to cut it when someone just spent 4 hours in a horse-drawn sleigh in sub-zero weather.
Precisely. That's the perfect way to look at it. The food fundamentally had to represent abundance and, frankly, survival.
Wow. Survival.
Yeah. When guests came in from the biting cold, they needed to be greeted with rich, incredibly caloric, deeply satisfying sustenance.
That makes total sense.
These recipes didn't evolve out of a desire to look sophisticated, they evolved out of absolute necessity.
Right, it wasn't about showing off.
Exactly. The wedding meal was a profound reflection of communal support. Providing a massive, hot, fatty meal was the ultimate sign of hospitality and care.
Huh.
And that is exactly why these specific dishes were so carefully preserved across generations.
The causal link there is really fascinating.
Mhm.
Understanding that these weddings were, in a way, village-wide survival events disguised as parties.
That's a great way to put it.
It completely explains the need for a dish that can, well, feed a huge crowd and physically warm them up from the inside out.
Mm.
So let's look at the mechanics of the tourtière itself, as detailed in our sources. It is a savory meat pie, traditionally made with minced pork, beef, veal, or even wild game.
Right, whatever was available.
But the flavor profile is the real shocker to me. It's heavily seasoned with warm spices. We are talking significant amounts of cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice.
Yeah, spices that, in a modern Western context anyway, we almost exclusively associate with, like, pumpkin pies, desserts, or holiday baking.
Exactly.
But integrating them into a heavy meat dish serves a very distinct historical purpose.
Wait, really? It isn't just about the flavor?
Well, the flavor is actually a byproduct of history.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the use of warm spices in savory meats traces back to medieval European culinary traditions, which the early French settlers obviously brought over with them.
Okay, that tracks.
Originally, spices like clove and cinnamon were used partially to mask the gaminess of wild meats, and also to aid in preservation before they had modern refrigeration.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and over time, that specific flavor profile became kind of biologically coded to mean comfort and celebration for the people of Quebec.
That reframes the entire dish for me, honestly. A tourtière at a Quebec wedding functions like as a culinary anchor.
Anchor.
In
Yeah.
the same way, a massive stone fireplace physically draws everyone in a freezing cabin toward the center of the room to share the warmth. This dense, spiced pie draws the entire guest list into a shared communal experience.
That's a perfect analogy.
It's the undisputed heavyweight champion of the table.
What's fascinating here is how the dish naturally migrated from a strictly seasonal offering to the ultimate romantic centerpiece.
How so?
Well, it originated in these rural communities as a holiday staple. It was the dish you made for Christmas Eve, usually after midnight mass.
Oh, right, the réveillon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But because it became so deeply intertwined with the psychology of family unity and celebration, couples naturally began demanding it at their weddings.
They wanted that feeling.
Right. They wanted to carry the emotional weight and the safety of a childhood holiday into the very foundation of their new marriage.
That is so incredibly sweet. And our sources point out that this isn't just one monolithic recipe that everyone follows strictly either.
Oh, definitely not. People are very protective of their versions.
Right. Families take fierce pride in their regional variations. For instance, if you are attending a wedding in the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean region, you aren't getting, like, a standard sliceable pie.
No, it's a completely different beast.
You are getting a massive, deep dish, structural marvel.
It really is.
The sources say it features large, cubed meats and potatoes, and it's cooked low and slow for hours. It's essentially a hearty stew engineered to be baked inside a thick crust.
Yeah, and that specific variation is much more substantial. It was literally designed for the deepest, coldest parts of the province, where, caloric intake was basically a matter of life and death.
Contrast that with the Montreal-style tourtière, which uses finely ground meat and really leans into balancing those signature warm spices for a more, refined texture.
Right, a bit more delicate.
And today, modern couples are adapting the vessel entirely. The sources mention offering vegetarian mushroom-based versions, highly gourmet individual plating, or even brushing the crusts with a maple glaze.
Oh, the maple glaze is fantastic.
The vehicle changes, while the payload of ultimate comfort remains exactly the same.
Exactly. Now, the tourtière anchors the meal, but an entire village cannot celebrate for 3 days on meat pies alone, right?
Good point.
The broader menu surrounding the pie is just this masterclass in utilizing the land's bounty. It leans unapologetically into Quebec's agricultural roots.
Okay, I actually have to stop us here. I need to offer some genuine pushback on this broader menu,
Okay, let's hear it.
because this is where my modern event expectations seriously clash with the source material.
How so?
Well, the traditional Quebec wedding menu includes yellow pea soup.
Yes, it does.
It also prominently features something called cretins, which is like a traditional rustic pork spread served with fresh bread, pickled vegetables, and local
A
cheeses.
staple, yes.
But if I am paying thousands of dollars to host or attend a premium formal wedding event, aren't those dishes just a bit cheap?
Cheap.
Yeah, I mean, why serve literal peasant food, like a bowl of yellow pea soup, at an expensive once-in-a-lifetime celebration?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to look at the sociology of what a wedding is actually trying to achieve and how different cultures define that word, premium.
Okay, I'm listening.
In a lot of modern, highly commercialized weddings, the menu is essentially a performance of wealth.
Right, showing off.
Serving tiny scallops or delicate asparagus spears that signal sophistication and exclusivity. But in traditional Quebec culture, the goal of the menu isn't pretense.
It's not about impressing people with how much you spent.
Exactly. The highest compliment you can pay a guest isn't showing off your bank account. It's offering genuine, unpretentious hospitality.
So serving the pea soup is like a deliberate behavioral cue.
Exactly. Think about the physical act of eating those foods. If you are sitting at a table with crystal glasses and a plated sliver of fish, you tend to sit up straight, right?
Yeah, you speak in hushed tones, worry about using the right fork.
Right. It creates a very stiff, anxious atmosphere. But when a massive tureen of rustic pork spread and a bowl and pickles are just dropped in the middle of the table, guests have to ask each other to pass the bread.
Oh, I see.
They are reaching over each other, maybe spilling a little soup, laughing. It forces physical and social interaction.
It breaks the ice.
Yes. Serving everyday comfort food strips away that whisper quiet formality and replaces it with a boisterous, warm family atmosphere. It signals to the guest, take off your jacket, you aren't at a museum, you are at our family table.
That is a brilliant psychological hack for event planning. It completely removes the performance anxiety of a formal dinner.
It really does.
And naturally, you cannot discuss Quebec's agricultural bounty without addressing the maple infusion.
Oh, of course not.
Maple syrup is Canada's most beloved ingredient, obviously. But the sources detail how it permeates the savory side of this menu in a highly functional way. They serve maple-glazed salmon, maple-roasted root vegetables, and maple-infused pork dishes.
The maple acts as a crucial culinary bridge here.
A bridge.
Yeah. When you have a menu dominated by rich, heavy fats like the ground pork in the tourtière or the spreadable fat in the cretins, the palate can quickly become exhausted.
Right, it's just too much richness all at once.
Exactly. So the deep, earthy sweetness of the maple syrup actually cuts through that lip-coating fat. It balances the savory spices and physically prepares the digestive system for the massive amounts of food still to come.
Which brings up a critical logistical issue.
Oh, the timeline.
Yes, the timeline.
Yeah.
There is a biological limit to how long a maple-glazed salmon or a dense slice of meat pie can sustain a person.
Very true.
After this massive, heavy agricultural feast, the tables are cleared, the music turns up, and the guests start dancing.
And not just a little swing, vigorous dancing.
Vigorous dancing, open bars, and hours of socializing. All of that inevitably burns through that initial fuel. By midnight, people hit a physiological wall.
I absolutely do.
The elegant portion of the evening is over, and if the hosts want the party to continue, the guests require a metabolic reboot.
The late night shift is where the event planning becomes highly strategic. You have guests who have been celebrating for 8 to 10 hours.
Right.
Their blood sugar is dropping, and they need immediate, easily digestible calories.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To solve that midnight energy crash, modern Quebec weddings have fully embraced the late-night gourmet poutine station.
Which is just the best idea ever.
It really is. For any listener who might not be familiar, poutine is the holy trinity of French fries, fresh, squeaky cheese curds, and a rich, boiling hot brown gravy.
The ultimate comfort food.
But at these weddings, it is completely customized. They set up stations offering toppings like pulled pork, wild mushrooms, or classic Montreal smoked meat.
From a purely functional standpoint, poutine is the perfect late-night solution.
Because of the carbs.
Because of everything, it delivers a massive, immediate hit of sodium, fat, and simple carbohydrates. It is the exact combination the human body literally craves after hours of drinking and physical exertion on the dance floor.
Imagine being exhausted, your feet hurt, and suddenly a chef hands you a steaming paper boat of fries covered in melting cheese curds and smoked meat.
It's heaven.
It is a complete sensory revival.
Mm.
It's messy, it's rustic, and it requires zero formal etiquette to consume.
But the late-night revival isn't strictly savory either.
Oh, right, the sweets.
We also have to examine the dessert spread, because the way these weddings handle sweets is a fascinating preservation of regional heritage.
So they don't just do the cake.
No. While a couple might still have a modern wedding cake for, the ceremonial cutting, the real focus is on a sprawling table of traditional French-Canadian sweets.
And according to the source material, the absolute undisputed king of that dessert table is the sugar pie, or tarte au sucre.
The best part of the meal.
Just the name implies a severe calorie density.
It is brilliantly simple.